I'm here. Hang on. Sorry, I lost track of the time. Because of course the beautiful patch that I had going earlier in the week, I lost it, obviously. So I had to find something to put on to make work. Am I all out of focus? Ooh. Can't see myself. That looks about right. No. Too much. Oh, something like that. Alright, let me know that you can hear me and that I'm in focus. That's always helpful. I'm not in the right place. I need to be able to put my arm on something. Hang on. Thing over there. My microphone's all on a wonk. Hello. How are we doing? Are we doing all right? Can you hear me all right? Has anybody said you can hear me? Good evening, Andrew. Hello. Everything looks good. You can hear me. Good. Right. I'll turn this down for the minute. Otherwise, I'm in danger of drowning myself out. Okay. Good. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to Molten Music Technology on this Sunday evening, the end of August. We've just had an August full of stuff and products. You're very welcome to be here. The plan for this evening, as it is for all of these end of the month live streams, is to, well, there's half a plan. There's half a plan of talking about the technology that we saw this month, and the rest of it is just whatever sort of occurs. Usually driven by the chat or anything that happens to enter my head. Hopefully, generally, it's technology related. That's the idea. We like to talk about synthesizers. We like to talk about modular. We like to talk about audio interfaces, software, the industry, that kind of stuff. Music making. That's the plan. So let me just say hello to a few people. Why I'm not, as I say, I'm not I'm not set up. Tool, I'm all in a mess and a frazzle. Let's make that a bit bigger so I can see the chat a bit easier. Bit like that. Okay. So, hi. Scratchy foot. Ken, good to see you. Andrew and Andrew Axis Productions. Todd, human error. Hey, how you doing? Turn my camera 90 degrees. What was that going to do? Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, the shirt is it's an oldie and a goodie. This shirt is nearly for the bin, I'm afraid. I've had this a long time now. It was kind of my celebration of Bitwig, I suppose, back in the day. But it's probably had it. It's probably time to move on, I think. But I thought, I'd give it another go. It has lost its shine, rather, over the years. Paul, good evening. Barney Rubble, it's nice to have you in the house. How's Betty? No rain tonight as far as I know. Everything survived, pretty sure. Everything seems to be working, so don't you worry about that. I do have plans for a new roof, and I'll worry about that at another point. It doesn't happen often, only when the rain is really bad and from a particularly sort of horizontal angle. That's when it gets bad. Otherwise, it's moving the microphone again. Otherwise, the shed is relatively sound, I should say. Good. And hello to anybody else I haven't said hello to. It's all good of you to be here. No, can't hear the cockerel. Got a chicken in the garden the other day. Don't know what happened to it. Didn't end up in my freezer, sadly. Oh, well, straight in there with the questions, Renaissance Man. Has anybody used the Meleco quad envelope generator, and do you need a clock source for it? Don't know why you would. You need a trigger. You need to trigger an envelope, generally speaking, unless it's a looping envelope. In which case the loop is generally, or the clock time is set by how big the envelope is, how long that envelope is, and then it loops, and that then defines its clock. So it doesn't really need an external clock unless it's doing something special. So, Hazy Jane, or I've got Stone Cold Slayer Pale Ale today. Let me know quickly, because I'm going to open one in a second. Inverted Pope, Cisco, good to see you. Lovely. How are we all doing then? So it's the end of the month. It's a bank holiday weekend for those of you who celebrate those sorts of things. I know, you know, certain religions don't really celebrate bank holidays, but in the religion of consumerism, it's good for banks to have holidays. I have a vaguely funny story about. No, it's not a funny story about banks. No, forget it. It's not funny. It just means it's a long weekend. Normally this weekend I'd either be doing one of two things. I'd either be at Waxham, which is a little seaside resort in Norfolk, with a bunch of friends. Can't do that this year, sadly. Previous to that is also the Greenbelt Christian Arts Festival weekend, which is something that I miss deeply because I haven't been to it for quite a few years. I usually perform at it in some fashion, running meditations or running electronic music things, or strange ecclesiastical ideas of another point of view trying to blow people's minds in the calm sort of way. Did that for many years, and I'd really like to go back. They had a virtual version of Greenbelt this weekend, and it was pretty fascinating and quite emotional. So I'd really like to go back and do that. My plan for next year, if they let me, is I'd like to run a modular tent. I mean, it's a festival, it's a Christian arts festival, so there's music, there's dance, drama, theatre, poetry, all sorts of stuff. And strange noises. And I would very much like to bring or run a tent that's packed full of this sort of stuff that people could play on, and then we could have chilled ambient nights and techno nights and that kind of thing. And I think that would be awesome, an awesome place to play. But I've no idea whether they'd be up for that kind of thing, but who knows? Who knows? That'd be my plan for next year. And we want to join me with that, then let me know, and maybe we can put a team of people together with a load of stuff. It's the sort of thing that you're going to have to assume is going to be for free, and you're lucky if you get a sort of a ticket, but you have to provide everything ourselves, so don't expect a budget or anything crazy like that. Just bring a load of stuff together, put it in a big tent, generator, big speakers, and hope it doesn't all get washed away in the rain. That's the plan for that. So anyway, hello. Use a wine glass. Yes, I didn't actually grab a glass at all on my way out this evening. I just grabbed a couple of cans. So there we go. Hazy Jane, says somebody. I'll take that one then. Embrace the opaque, it says. Ooh, that's a 5%er. Okie doke. That's going to be the way of things, is it? Don't excuse me. Yeah, all right. So I suppose before we go any further, we should do the prize draw. Yeah, the prize draw. I've lost it. Oh, here it is. So I suggested in the last couple of Molten monthlies that I might be giving away this little fella, 2 HP pluck. 2 HP pluck. And I think I will. I think I am. I seem to be. And so I put a post up on Patreon for people to go and have a look at and add their name to, and they did. So I think now it's time to see who is going to walk away with this fella. Yeah, that's exciting. So let me go and get my list. Now, what am I going to put it in? So this is it. These are all the people. There's only about 30 odd people on the list. And I was going to find... I didn't have a... Where's my hat? bum, bum. What am I going to put it in? That'll just make things wet. Hang on. Oh, I know. I had something. I found something. Look at this for a mysterious type bag then, eh? Wow. Yeah, that'll do. It's a bit spidery. Get out of it. Ah! Get out. So, yeah. I'm going to do that, like that, a bit like that. Yeah. So, here we have the people up for this. If you didn't know about it, it's too late. You know, whatever. It will just be what it will be. So I've got Hannes S, TGM, Andrew M, Stephen H, Grant BH, Liam S, Ralph R, Mark TA, Sandu BN, Sean Bean, Dwayne, Eddie, presumably Derek. Maybe I just make all these up. Ash, Paul, Brian, Sam, John, David, Paul, Adrian, Funfee, Jimmy, Vanderberg, Generator, Andrew, Arthur, Lord Soka, Lorenz, Chasing Shadows or Strangers or something, John, Jeff, Synth, and Ichor. There we go. So they're all going to go into the bag. Into the bag. So what's been happening then this month? What was the specials that were on this month's stuff? Anybody remember? Maybe I need to put up gear news, or maybe you can just remind me what were the most interesting products from the Molten Monthly this month. I might find it on the shortcut here. Anything particularly grab your attention? I quite like the Robo little drum machine, the little LL8. Don't have any Robo stuff, assuming that's how you pronounce it. But it's always looked really cool. Very, very cool. Oh, yeah, the Elk Aloha thing. Now, that may be something worth talking about. Maybe I'm a little bit too distracted to talk about it now. But suffice to say that I've been in touch with them. I've been talking to them a little bit. And I'm having a chat with their chief medical officer, or whatever a CMO is, having a chat with one of those on Tuesday to hopefully get to the bottom of the whole thing. Because I find I've got a big chip on my shoulder about marketing speak and the lack of transparency. You kind of get it with Teenage Engineering a bit. You get it with Electron a bit. You certainly get it with Elk Audio, where they just don't seem to want to talk about it, and I don't quite understand. It's like they do you these lovely videos of people jamming and saying, look, these are people jamming, because the idea of the Aloha thing from Elk Audio, if you're not up with it at the moment, is that it's a box that connects into your router to provide very, very or near zero latency online jamming. It should allow us to jam online. And they keep showing us these videos of people doing this, jamming online, but they don't show us the tech. And that boggles my mind. Because what you want is you want to see how it works. I mean, because they're doing, right, they got like, as I was saying to their, one of their guys earlier in the week as we were talking about it, they've got like 47 subscribers to their YouTube channel, but it's because they don't show anything. All they show is people jamming online, you know, with a split screen and stuff. And it's like, well, we've seen that a billion times. There's nothing in the video to tell us that anything exciting is actually happening, because everyone's putting together these, you know, lockdown videos of people playing. So that isn't nothing. The fact that they're jamming in real time live is not communicated at all within that video. It's just a couple of people playing music. Yeah, great. My Facebook feed's full of that stuff. So they're completely failing to go viral or whatever it is they plan to do with his here marketing lark, because there's nothing to see. Nothing to see. You need to see a box being plugged in and people talking about, oh yeah, I'm plugging this in here, and what this allows me to do is this, and look, this is me playing with my mate across the Atlantic, and him going hello and playing. That would be interesting. That we could see and relate to and go, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to share that. And so therefore, marketing is achieved. So hopefully, anyway, on Tuesday, I'm going to have a chat with them and hopefully I can get some of these questions answered. I mean, it's not really for my benefit, ultimately. I'm just kind of an interested party and I just like things to make sense. But hopefully, that will do so. Right, how am I doing? Okay. Halfway through this tearing up of people. Is this worth it, really? I seem to remember when I did my prize draw for the Surface many years ago. I went through all sorts of hoops trying to find randomization programs and then signing up to something that would approve of the fact that I've done a prize draw and it was fair and all those sorts of things. And I went through tons of work and sorting that out, and databases of how many times people had entered and what that meant and whether they'd shared it or not. And when it came to it, it went to somebody who didn't really want it. And then all the other prizes, because there are other prizes associated with it, they nearly went all completely to bots, because I was sending out notifications to people saying, hey, you've won this, isn't that awesome? And I wouldn't get any replies at all because they were all just bots. So prize draws as a whole on the internet are a bit of a waste of time. This one seemed better because I could restrict it to a sensible number of people, and it would seem to make some kind of sense, you know. So I'm sure the anticipation is just driving you nuts. It's wonderfully lo-fi, yeah, it is. See, I thought as I was writing these down that maybe what I could do is use some kind of sample and hold. You know, I could put noise through a source and then measure the voltage of what was sampled, and then have that cross-referenced on a spreadsheet to everybody's name. And how cool would that be? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be cool. You want names in a hat, is what you want. That's the only way. There's no such thing as a random number generator, you see. That's the other problem. How can you prove that it's random? Okay. It's like a magic hat. What's that bit for? So there we go. It's all in there. You see names in there. It's very exciting. Maybe I'll save it to the end. Oh, how was the Dutch Modular Festival? Because I've been busy this weekend. I haven't had the opportunity to look at anything. Was there anything interesting? Anything worth seeing? The MIDI Looper? Yeah, that got released, didn't it? But we'd seen that. We've seen a lot of that at Super Booth. So we knew all that about. Micro Monster 2. Rings a bell. Behringer seemed a bit in there with all the promised gear, yeah? Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this the other night, I think. I've done like a live stream very recently, so I'm kind of trying to remember what it was I said and didn't say. But yeah, I decided to pre-order all the 2500 modules. Thought, what the heck? Because I can make a video on a dual envelope, because that's so exciting. And I can talk about how sort of 1976 it sounds. Which is awesome. I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it. But, you know, let's give it a go. Let's see what we can make of those things. I'm probably going to need to find another case from somewhere to stick that in, because I do like the idea of having a system that like that's together. Although other people have mentioned how without the matrix, it's nowhere. It's not going to be anything like a 2500. Yes, sort of. But the matrix, all the matrix was patching without cables. It's not like a pin matrix, because it was sliding switches. So you don't get a 64 by 64 grid, you get an 8 by 8. No, do I know what I mean? So with a pin matrix, for instance, you can pin one thing to every destination. or every source to one destination. You can't do that with the switching of the 2500, as far as I understand it, although I will have to look into that a little bit deeper, so by all means tell me that I'm wrong. But my understanding of the 2500 is that it's a slider you move up and down, therefore you can't have the horizontal axis going to all of the verticals. Do you see what I mean? Some people are saying that, who are familiar with the 2500, are saying that it's not very close. I mean, how would they know? How would anybody know? Because they're not out. So I don't know. I mean, and these are designed and made by the guy, AM Synths, is it? Who Ken Freeball, who Ken, not Ken, or whatever, and Bob. No, never mind. And you know, he's been working on 2500 modules for years, so I reckon they'll sound pretty close. But you've got to think about, I think, the container within those within which these modules existed. In a 2500 modular system, you know, it was in a huge chassis with lots of wires and cabling and all sorts of things going to other places. So it's more than just the modules. It was an entire machine. And not only that, but the machine would have been put together and designed for ARP for you. You know, you'd got in touch with ARP and specify what it is you want, and they would provide that. So it's a very different experience, which is something I will talk about a lot, I think, when I'm talking about the modules. So I'm not entirely sure as to what a 2500 module is supposed to sound like. Because, I mean, none of the things that I buy my modular are because of how they sound, really. It's more to do with what they do. So I haven't bought any oscillators because of how they sound. I've bought oscillators that I think I need. Does that make sense? I mean, I bought a filter because it's supposed to sound like a Roland filter, which I know that I like. And so, yes, that in that respect, yes. But everything else, I think I've really purchased for functionality more than sound. How something sounds. So it's going to be interesting as to if that means anything, because it's a 2500. I mean, funny enough, I like the way they look. So that's another thing which influences my purchasing decisions, without a doubt. Anyway, so back to the name from the hat then. I can't put it off. I want it to go to someone who's lovely and fabulous. I've no idea who that's going to be. Oh, God, it's so nerve-wracking. So anyway, here it is. I'm going to take one. Ah, this one. It's this one in my hand. That's going to go away. And the answer is... it is John P. John P. Now, hang on. Ow. Do John P. That seems to be John Page. I think that is Mr. John Page is the winner of the 2HP Pluck. That's awesome. So there we go. That's that done. Sorry to everybody else who missed out, but you know, maybe I'll do other ones at another time. Who knows? Could I do a second one right now? No, because you signed up for the 2HP, and it would seem wrong to give you something else. Wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. Anyway, so there we go. John P, well done. That'll be yours. I'll get in touch on Patreon, and I can work out where to send it. I'll try to find the box for it if I can. Good, well, that's exciting. So while I was messing around with all of that, what else happened? Yeah, correct. DB Cisco, thank you. Yes, I thought that was the case. The Behringer sequencer is 8 steps and not 10 like the original. 10 steps, man. I mean, that's bonkers. Can you imagine? Some differences in envelope generator design. You know, envelopes are one of the things I'm least interested in. But anyway, you know, the first selection of modules coming from Behringer, two of which, 4 modules have released, 2 of which are envelopes, and they're the same envelope, except for one has a gate delay. Why would you want a gate delay? I haven't quite worked that one out yet. Why don't you just make the trigger later? That's probably a clever reason I haven't thought of. It amuses me greatly because, I mean, I don't know if you've been on Behringer's website, but it is awful. It's just they're out of their minds. They made a change and it's just a disaster. I can't find anything, and when you can find it, it's weird. You get a picture, you get a tiniest sort of name description, and then you get another description next to a completely irrelevant photograph, and then you have to dig around to find anything other information on it. Very, very weird. But anyway, all the information for the 1033 envelope, which is the envelope with the gate delay, is just got all the information from the 10003. So they don't know what they're doing, unfortunately. But never mind, hey, I mean, they're only just providing us with with vintage synthesizers that we'd all love to own, and they can't seem to be bothered quite to get the website right. Dusty asked a question. Well done, Dusty. Welcome. How much sequencing is on the Keystep versus the rack? Good question. It's a mixture and a mess at the moment. The patch that I did earlier in the week, I did sort of this ambient chill thing. It started off on the Keystep. I did sort of a couple of bass notes on the Keystep, set that going, and then added a little bit of a bass line. But then I wired in the Turing and had the Turing through a quantizer running the surface physical modeling module, and then I had some drums coming from here, some drums coming from the ratchet, so it becomes a mixture. I find that the Keystep is a great place to start things, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'll continue from there. So I'm finding that it's working really well, because my fear, certainly what I found with the Beatstep Pro, whenever I try to use the Beatstep Pro, I would end up being no, I don't know what's the word. I would feel very much in the box, and it felt like using a DAW. It felt like using a computer. Whereas the Keystep, less so. It also makes it feel slightly more musical. It means I can start from a place that I understand, as opposed to just flapping around in a sphere of randomness or chaos. I can start off with something that seems to make some kind of sense. Although, I mean, I still haven't opened the manual on this yet, so I don't really know what I'm doing other than what seems obvious. You know what I mean? So I'm just using it in a very obvious, straightforward way, and then wiring in other things as I go. So, I mean, you can see from, can you see? I don't know how much you can see from this layout. Let me get so I can see a little bit better. That it all seemed to happen over here, over this part of the rack, which is interesting. Because over here, I've got things like the random rhythm, which I don't use a great deal of now. Got the variegate, got the bloom that I still haven't cracked the surface of yet. And I got a lovely quantizer over here and an envelope. All this stuff was kind of not out of service, I just wasn't using any of it. So I was very much focused over here, but this is where most of my sound generation is at the moment. There's no system here at all. But that's what I was doing. And at the moment it sounds like this. So that's why I was late starting, so I was trying to make this sound better. Beautiful. Yeah, no, not really. Anyway, boom, boom. Right, so no, Andrew, it wasn't you being stupid. It's the Behringer. Just they need to fire their web designers. It's just appalling. You can't. I don't even know where to begin. I can't believe that all the modular stuff, for instance, appears under synthesizers. I mean, I guess that's fine to a degree, but you go to synthesizers, then you just got page after page after page of stuff with no categorization, as far as I can work out. It's just difficult. It's really difficult. You've got to go through 50 RD6s before you go through 50 TD3s and all different colors and different types. I don't get it. Andrew Marshall, you apply for a job at Behringer. They ask, I mean, their requirements are pretty big. They're kind of only after people who run their own synth companies. That seems to be, if your CV doesn't say, oh, I ran Moog for 10 years, then I think the likelihood of getting a job at Behringer is pretty slim. Needs a pluck in there, cheeky bugger. No more plucks. Hey TH, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, some people are saying they like Behringer, not so keen on Behringer. I mean, my feeling is that, well, I've had arguments with Behringer in the past. I'm sure, and currently, no doubt, I am quite happy to point out when I feel they are being out of order or doing awful things to people. Absolutely. But I have Behringer products. I have an RD8. I've got an MS101. I've got a Ultra Gain what's-y thing down here somewhere. They're a manufacturer of product, of gear, some of which I like, some of which I don't. I don't like their practices necessarily or how they operate, but I have no clue how Moog treat their customers or treat their staff. I've got no clue how Pittsburgh do that, how anybody does that, So the fact that I have a bit of a window into how Behringer operates is in some ways unfair. And do I not like that? Not always, but also you've got human beings there at the same time trying to do their thing, trying to have a life and trying to be excited and enthusiastic about things, and sometimes they get it awfully wrong. And there we go. But it's just gear as far as I'm concerned, and sometimes, and me as being a human, it means that I'm not unaffected by these things. So sometimes I'll be pissed off at them, sometimes I won't. Same as any other company, that's just sort of how that goes. So I have nothing against anybody who has that sort of gear. That's groovy. I enjoy it too. What happened to the suitcase case? Well, my suitcase case is still happening. The little red one is up on my shelf over there. The larger one I'm keeping for the Look Mum No Computer synth that I plan to build soon. Oh, right, with the Midas branch. Yeah, okay. Cool. Have they released all the 55 stuff? I don't know that they have. I think so. I mean, I've seen a couple of pictures now of people with cases with the whole Moog thing or the whole System 100 thing. So I think they have got to the end of those bits and pieces now. I'm just slightly frustrated that they haven't made a system out of it. They're just releasing these modules without it being a system. I don't quite know how to explain that, because it seems like a no-brainer. You're trying to clone the Moog modular system, whichever one, I can't remember now. Then why not do that? Why not release it in a case, in a cabinet? Why just do it in drips and drabs? I don't. It still makes me scratch my head. I can't quite work it out. Did I find the leak? No, I still can't find. I've never been able to find the leak. It's always been leaking in the same place, this one here, for many, many years. And I have re-roofed the place before, and I still can't find it. So it just seems to pool at that point when the weather's a certain way, and in it comes. Nothing I could do about it. Yeah, DJ Dreadmouse is coming for me. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But I've got to try out his piece of software. He did a video on it, which was remarkably exciting, I thought. But yeah, I need to do... I have a few plans at the moment. I keep trying to wade through the depth of stuff I have on at the minute. Trying to get to some kind of satisfactory place. I mean, I don't think I ever can because I'm working half a dozen sort of jobs all at once. Trying to find a sensible amount of time in the right place is really difficult. But I need to do a good chunk on some DIY stuff to clear away some kits that I've got, which are burning holes in me, and also to clear away the Decals Dream so that I can start some new projects. Excuse me, in that regard. I also want to spend some time on the computer side of things, which is something that I do, something that I'm good at and I know about. And I often neglect that because this is just more exciting and interesting to do. But my Surface now has upgraded to the May update, 2004 update, Windows 10, so I can now tackle the tweaking and CPU throttling issues that may arise with that. So I can do a video on that at last. And I'd like to start doing a few more touchscreen type manipulation videos on what software works well with that, to do the dead mouse, dread mouse, whatever he's called. The dead mouse guy, the cardinal sin of EDM right here, he says, that guy. And also Pablo, I believe, has got another version of Chameleon out. I'd like to do something on that, and those sorts of things. You know, there's lots of interesting things I could be doing in software which I'm not currently, and I really should. I'd like to review Traction Waveform again, for instance. Update some reviews I've done on doors so that you know, people can have an idea of how well things are running on the current Microsoft Surfaces. That's all, you know, good stuff, interesting stuff. That and general software synth bits and pieces, communication between sequencing and doors and modular and everything. Want to do everything, want to do all of that. So, I mean, in an ideal world, I would do a week on different things. I do a week on modular, a week on DIY, a week on synthesizers, hardware of some kind, and a week on Surface, and then just keep doing that every month. That would be my ideal. But it's just very difficult to actually make that happen. I find it's like the blooming POM 400 over there behind me, the Teenage Engineering thing. It's great. It's just taken me a long time because I need to get under the skin of it, and I'm finding that giving it enough time to do that quite difficult, because I need to work out what each of the modules do. Because, you know, I've got a general idea, and I could do a general video like most people have done a general video on it. You know, even the people who do spend the time have only spent a little bit of limited time doing a review of the POM 400. And I want to get down to the nitty gritty of it, and that unfortunately takes time because some bits I'm not really understanding, and Teenage Engineering aren't really talking to me about it. Well, not answering my questions anyway. So, don't know. But also, they have something new. Is it coming out tomorrow? Is it the 1st? I forget. Let me look that up. Is it now? Insta. Now, I have no insider knowledge as to what it is they're about to release. Teenage Engineering. There we go. Are you ready for some hocus pocus, they say? They are proud and utterly excited to announce some new... They will hit their online store on the 30th of September. Damn it, I thought that was this month. So they got something new coming on the 30th of September. Anything particularly specific about that? When was the OP1 released? Teenage OP... One. OP1. Is there a Wikipedia entry on that? Yes. 2011. See, that's not. They said they've been working on it for 6 years. I mean, it could be. So my prediction is that they're working on the OP2. That's what I think it would be. Because the OP1 is surely their most successful product. So it would make sense if they did something else. If they followed that up. Redesigned it maybe. Don't know. Interesting. Just interesting. So, what was I saying? I don't really remember. So yeah, I was talking about having a plan and a schedule. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to work. But so yeah, Senior Engineering have something new coming out at the end of September. Very interesting. And does anybody have any insider knowledge? They don't give much away. I mean, I think the plastic bag for their bits did leak a day early. Euphemia, yes, I am going to do a tweak video. I have no idea whether currently my Surface really works. The interesting thing that happened after the update is that my ultimate power plan still exists. It's still there and it's still selected. However, all of the advanced power settings are gone because they've removed the CS enabled switch. If you're familiar with the tweaks I've done in the past, I've used this CS enabled switch. What's that about? Control state? No. Can't remember. Anyway, it's some kind of switch that you turn on in the registry and that allows you to access all of the advanced power controls, and that most importantly lets you turn off turbo mode on the processor, because it's often in a hybrid kind of laptop scenario, it's the turbo mode which messes everything up. Excuse me, because the turbo mode is too slow, it responds too slow, and turbo mode allows it to go up but it also allows it to go down. So you find that when you're running a project, the CPU will start clocking itself down just when it quite fancies it. Often when it gets too hot or it feels underused or something like that because you're not currently running it at full whack, and then you press play and of course your CPU is no longer there and your system and your project just sounds like crap. So by turning off turbo mode, you hold the processor at a set speed so that you know exactly how much of everything you can do because it's set and solid and stable. And that's very, very useful on the sort of product that's not designed for desktop style processing. On a desktop, it's not a problem. It's only a problem on the sort of the hybrid ultrabook style laptops and similar. So at the moment I've no idea whether this now still works or whether it's performing badly, because I just haven't had the time to try anything. So I will, and I mean to, and I most certainly will get stuck into that soon. And hopefully that'll allow me to draw a bit of a line under this current current Windows tweaks thing. Because also I don't think very many tweaks really do anything anymore. I've been through certainly all of the ones that I would usually use, and they don't seem to achieve anything as far as I can tell. There's one or two things really that is the only thing you need to do, and the rest of it is purely about taking care of your system. If you mess up your system, you will mess up the audio potentially. If you pack it full of a load of old crap will come out the other end, is all I can say. So so there you go. Is anyone pre-ordering the Descartes voice? I would love to, but by golly, is that expensive? More expensive than I thought. You know, if it was under £500, then, you know, possibly, but unlikely. Under £300, definitely. But it's just a little bit pricey. You know, a little bit pricey. Besides, I've got a flipping Descartes Dream that's about to work. Any second now, I'm going to have that finished. So, you know. Descartes voice doesn't seem right, but it does. I mean, that picture that Bob put up of a whole row of them, it looks totally stunning. That would be would be awesome. Would be awesome. Another couture. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, the OP1 is a funny device. I mean, I have had a play with one in real life, I think once. Mostly seeing it on screen, on YouTube, things like that. It doesn't look like very much. Can't quite understand the excitement or the interest in it. But actually in your hands, it's quite a fascinating machine. And the screen is absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, it's one of those things which is better in the flesh, but it's still very expensive. It's interesting. I mean, I've asked Teenage Engineering for an interview to do a Molten chat with them so that we can talk about these sorts of things, but they seem shy about that sort of stuff. I don't know. Can't you turn off turbo mode in the BIOS? No, you idiot. Of course you can't. Since when have laptops ever given you access to the BIOS? Dell laptops are the only ones that ever do, really, and in there's very little you can actually do. So no, you can't turn off turbo mode in the BIOS. The services don't even have a BIOS. There is a funny collection of things that you can do to get yourself in the BIOS, which really all it does is allows you to enter a security password for your machine. That's about it. There's no other, there's no other settings you can set, and that's common. Very, very common for most laptops. So, no. You can only do that really on proper desktop machines. Does it get warm in your studio with all that gear running? Not really. No, in fact, I haven't. I mean, we did have a hot week, didn't we? A really hot week where I didn't do much at all. But no, not really. I mean, all the lights I use are all LED lights, so I don't have any big hot halogen lights or anything like that going on. Thank goodness. Everything else? No. No, I don't actually have that much gear, really. I mean, you know, I've got a couple of racks of stuff here and a drum machine and a bunch of little synths. I don't have a whole load of posh gear, really. Got a DA38 down here. That's the poshest thing I've got in the studio. Don't ever use that. Chelsea, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. That's nice. I'm not on my best. I don't feel like I'm at my best today. I feel tired, which is a shame. So I'm not perhaps as sparkly as I would like to be. So shall I don't know whether I should do something. I mean, somebody asked me to do a patch from scratch. I could give that a go. In fact, we could do a community patch where you tell me what it is you want, and then I'll not do that. And I'll work my way around to see if I can do a patch which displeases the most people. That could be interesting. Because other than that, I don't have a whole lot to say. Which drum machine? I've got the RD8 and I've got the Uno drum. The RD8 I bought myself. The Uno drum was given to me by IK. God bless them. I like them both. Both I use the RD8 much more than the... because it just seems to be there and accessible. I'm not having to... because the thing that's great about the Uno drum, and also is its downfall, is the fact you have kits. You know, as soon as you put in a preset, as soon as you give me something to dial into, it somehow takes all the fun out of it, at the same time as injecting it with more fun. I'm not making that very clear. But with the RD8, it just has what it has, and you play with that. It's the same as with the 101. It just has what it has, and there's no, oh, I'm going to go through the presets. It's like I've got the Micro Freak over there, and it's just, oh, these presets drive me nuts. I just want to play with the synthesizer, and so the 101 does that. As soon as I have a preset, I mean, this is nuts because I'm very much at home with presets. I'm not trying to be anti-preset. I'm just trying to talk about my own personal workflow. What I respond to more than anything is something which has nothing. It has nothing, and I just have to make it happen as it is. So the 101 does that. The MS1, I suppose you call it now. That's what that provides. It just makes a noise, and I have to make a noise with it. The RD8, it just has those noises, and that's what you play with. And that, for me, it like cuts out all of the bureaucracy of making electronic music. It just cuts all that shit out, so I can just focus on making the music. It's the equivalent to me of picking up a guitar. Pick up a guitar and I can play it. If I pick up a guitar, plug it into a Line 6 amplifier that has 15,000 different amp modules, I'm in the same problem. I'm in the same problem trying to find the sound that I want. And it's like, oh, it's just the end. I don't think I have the room in my life for presets anymore of any kind. So I just have the thing that does the thing. So the RD8 is brilliant for that, because it is just what it is, same as the MS-101. Same. That's why this also appeals, because it just is. I mean, even the Surface from even the Qubit Surface is making me think, oh, well, you know, do I want to use that? No, I'm probably just going to leave it on the stringy sound, because that's kind of what I was after. I mean, of course I won't, but I'm going to try to get that in my head that that's really all it does, and because of that, I will use it much more readily than I would if it had a bunch. If I saw it as having a bunch of presets. Does that make sense? That's just where I am, I think. That may well change. But life's too short for presets. It's like, I still don't know how to save anything on the Keystep Pro, but life's too short for saving stuff. I don't want to save stuff. I want to lose it and then go and have to do something else. Don't want to come back to the thing I've been working on. No, I want to work on something else. It's like with the light thing behind me. Can you see that? Are you seeing that? Yeah, a little bit. I like it and everything. The IZ from Critter and Guitari. It's just that because it has presets, I can't decide what it is that I like. So, whereas if it did one thing and allowed me to fiddle just with that, I would probably find it slightly more entertaining. But at the moment, I'm still in early days on it. Early days. Ooh. So you can't see that because my head's in the way. I do apologise. Anyway, I'm going to leave it like that now. What about drums on modular? Do I have any modules? You've got the Black Noir and the Bow. Good, yeah. No, I don't. That's going to be too noisy on the old. Oh, let's do that. Ooh. Just a little bit too crazy. Slow it down somehow. No, evidently you're not going to be able to do that. Anyway, blah blah. What was I saying? Drums on modular. Yes, drums on modular is sort of something that I'm in the process of working out at the moment. I have the drums from Pico drums from Behringer synths, which is great. It gives me my kick drum, gives me my you know, and a clap. Where am I? Da-ba-da, drums. I've got a 2 HP hi-hat, which is alright. I don't love it, but it's alright. Maybe that's going to go out for auction, who knows. And I've got this T-Networks bunch of stuff from ADAC systems, which make sort of blippy noises. What a load of nonsense. And then I've got the Iteratus, Bassimilus Iteratus Alter as well, that makes a bunch of noise. So I've got some few things in there which could be creating drum sounds. I've also got the ratchet, which I can use as a drum machine, which I'm working towards at the moment. I've got a Bafako Perkle to build, which is going to hopefully provide me with 4 channels of some kind of percussion, which might focus me a bit more. But I feel that I haven't quite sorted out the drum side of modular yet. So that's an area which I'm hoping to sort of push into. But once I've got the Percol built, I can then start making videos on the ratchet a bit more focused like. So I want to be able to use those two bits together to start building the percussion side of my rig, I think. So yeah, that's the plan. But it's not coherent at the moment. It's not brought together. I keep seeing other people's things. I think, well, you know, the Black Noir, for instance, that would be interesting. All those proc drums that Mylar uses a lot. That could be a thing. Lots of people use DFAMs for drums, but that's a big purchase, I think. Or, you know, a massive module that just creates a bass drum click or ping or something, which again, it just seems a bit too monstrous just for that one doom sound. I don't know. I'm still exploring at this moment. Human Error says, yes, please do a patch. Okay, I might do in a moment then. Make a bad sounding one. Yes. Doesn't the projector chuck out a bit of heat? Yeah, it does. I mean, I've only literally, I spent an afternoon screwing it to the ceiling. So yes, it does. But this is the first time I've had this running. So I don't know whether this is a great thing or not. I mean, I'm a big fan of Kickstarter, and I really like sponsoring things on Kickstarter. It makes me feel good, as well as potentially getting a really good product at the end. And so with this little box, I thought, yeah, that could really be interesting, but I need to give it a little bit of time. So I'm kind of setting it up at the moment, and I'm seeing how I feel about it. And I don't know at the moment exactly what I'm doing with it, but the projector's on at the moment, and that is probably kicking out heat. Oh yeah, it's very hot up there, but I'm in a shed, man, so it's never really very warm in here, except for when it's extremely warm and extremely cold. So that might be a good thing come the winter. So I don't know, I'm just making this up as I go. So if I get too hot, then I do, and then perhaps I'll do something about that. I don't know. How do you connect your rack to your door? I don't really. I do some connections with things like Bitwig and Ableton with CV tools in order to do modulation in both directions, or one direction or the other. I don't really sequence that much, and if I do, I've got where is it? Oh, it's around somewhere. I've got the Motu M4, which gives me a couple of outputs of DC coupled outputs, which I can use. I can use that. No, I don't have any of the Expert Sleepers stuff. It all just seems a bit too pricey, and it takes up room. I do have the VCMC from Bafako, which is a very cool module. It's a bit big. It's the only thing. So this is in and out of the rack depending on what I'm doing at the moment. So I can use that for CV to MIDI conversion, so I can bring stuff out of the rack into a software synth or a hardware synth, so that's quite interesting. But I don't generally do a whole lot of door connection, you know, unless I guess when it comes down to actually recording, in which case at the moment honestly I just record a stereo output from the rack and say there you go, that's done. I have in the past done multi-track out over, like I say, I've got a Behringer preamp to ADAT box here, which I then ADAT into the audio fuse into my main computer. That's a possibility. It's just, I just can't be arsed. I mean, one of the things that I'm surprised isn't more common in Eurorack is a module is a module that sits in your output module or next to your output module and just records the output, you know, straight to an SD card or something of that nature. Because that seems like a no-brainer to me. I just want to record the output. But I guess a lot of people are processing after that event, so maybe that's not as common. But I just want to be able to record it, and that might be simpler than having to set my main computer into record. I've got to open up, I'm now using DaVinci Resolve, and Resolve DaVinci, whatever, and have to set up some channels and record the audio and set that going. And that's not as instant as I would like it to be. I'd like just to have a button I can press and it starts recording. It's probably something the Disting can do, but if I'm using the Disting, I'm usually using it for something else. So something dedicated to that task would be good. I mean, I guess what I need to get is another recorder, you know, something like this, which I use for recording my vocals when I'm making videos, just have that set into my output. So I plug the output of this into that, and then from that to my speakers. Maybe that's the best solution. I don't know. So, you know, I don't have a plan as far as DAW goes. I do different things depending on what I'm doing. If I'm trying to demonstrate something, I'll set it up and make that work. But otherwise, it's just running as it is. It's just running as it is. What audio interface am I using? Well, as I say, I'm using what am I using? What? Have I been missing something? Yeah, no, down to there, up to there, around to there. What was I talking about? Audio interface. Yeah, no, I use a Moto M4 for the Surface here. I use an audio fuse at the moment on my computer. I was using a Steinberg UR28M for a very long time. It did me well, that interface, but I kept having some strange problems in a particular piece of software, so I decided to change for the audio fuse, and that's brought its own challenges, I have to say, but it seems to have settled down now. Now that I've moved everything to 48, it much prefers being a 48 to anything else, so that's okay. I'm going with that now. So so those are the two audio interfaces that I use. He's saying that I've already passed it, and it was only the one. If I open the second one, we're unlikely to get a patch done. What's the reverb? The reverb is the Pico DSP reverb. Very simple. Let me turn something back up again. I've got it set on the blue one. I don't know what that is, but we could go through them. That was unexpected. I do think about using other reverbs. I've got a reverb pedal that I've used from time to time. I keep, you know, tiptoeing around the tip-top ones, or there's that new one from Noise Engineering. Looks really interesting. But my reverb requirements are really pretty simple, and the Pico DSP just seems to be enough. I just need something that takes that clarity off the sound a bit, something which just softens it into space. That's all I'm after. Nothing too extraordinary, but I'm not listening close enough really to appreciate it either, because the way I monitor, I've got a pair of speakers over there which are 20 years old, which aren't that great, and so I'm listening to something which is coming from behind me, so I'm just kind of getting a general feel. I'm not critically listening to the stuff that I do on here, you know. I'm just enjoying the space of it, you know. So I'm sure it could sound a lot better if I tried harder, or for instance if I ran it through the door and used the Eventide Black Hole or the Valhalla or something of that nature. That, you know, that could work. Working with presets is not the same as sculpting electricity. With presets you have to choose between what's proposed. Without, you just build things up. It's very different. I agree, Coil. I do agree very much. What about the squid sample? Don't know. I'm not big on samples or sampling. I understand the squirrel, whatever it's called, the squid, is is very good at sampling into things. That's not really my bag particularly, although it could be, of course. I mean, my bag can be anything at any time, but it doesn't really appeal. It's a big module. I don't know. I mean, my favourite drum sounds are brushes, funnily enough. There was a great brush kit done by Sample Sun, is it? I think it is. Just fantastic. What a great thing. I mean, I love a brush on a ride, that kind of thing, and that slappy, relaxed jazz feel on a snare. I just love that. That with a really in-your-face kick drum, that would be my ideal hybrid thing, I think. So if somebody could do me a module that's got a brushed kit in it, and I don't want stirring brushes. That stirring brush that people do whenever they say play with brushes. Oh, it's got to be a stir. No. I want a thump. A thump. I love the sound of a brush on a snare and on toms and on cymbals. I just think it has a softness to it that's amazing. And I'm always at a ride. If everyone playing drums, it's always the ride that interests me as opposed to the hi-hats. Every time, give me a ride. But it's also a difficult sample to find that's not too ringy. It needs to be choked well so that you're not getting this layering, because if you're hitting a ride with a brush, that you don't get that. so that's the sort of drum sounds that I like, but they're difficult to find. Megan, you're welcome. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I must have missed something, but anyway. Yeah, well, if it's all right with you, I'm just going to turn you off. Da, 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 da. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I understand. Make a sample pack. A sample pack of what? I don't get sample packs. What is it that they give one? What does one? Okay, there's a question for people in the chat. What is a sample pack? I mean, I know physically what a sample pack is, I suppose, but what is it supposed to have in it that's of interest to people? Yeah. What is that? Tell me what it is. And how much I should charge for it. No, just tell me what it is. Cole, do you mean the qubit surface that I've got over there? And no, it doesn't. Is there a WMD surface? I don't know. Dowel sticks. Yeah, like hot rods. Is that what you mean? Yeah, I totally get that. Yes, I like hot rods too. No, I don't imagine any. I mean, the difficulty you have with Eurorack is the lack of velocity. I mean, you can get it in there, certainly, but it's not prevalent. So trying to do realistic sounding drums is difficult, I think, in Eurorack. So I think that would be interesting. I mean, one of the things that, I've spoken to a couple of people about this, which is the whole Elk Audio OS thing, as I mentioned earlier. Well, the one thing that they have been, previous to this networking business, is they've been trying to get people to build hardware that runs their OS so that you can run a VST plugin within that hardware environment. So you build a hardware box for your famous VST synth and stick the VST synth on Elk Audio OS inside that box. It's a nice idea, but no one's actually really gotten around to doing it. However, I like the idea very much of having a relatively small module that has something like, I spoke to Sample Sun about this because they produce quite nicely modelled small footprint electric pianos and drum kits and other bits and pieces, and they would fit really nicely within a little module that you could have, you know, 3 or 4 parameter controls over, so velocity, so depth or width or something or other, and it would fit really nicely as a Eurorack module, I think. I can't remember why I was saying so oh, I have no idea. You sample your modular all the time to make banks of samples for machine. Okay. Fun to load into the Morphogenie. Okay. Sample packs of what? Sample packs of what? What? What is it that I'm sampling? That's my question. Theolophilus. Massive X. Yes, I've played with that. Can it run on an AMD CPU? Yes. It runs on a computer running Windows. Doesn't matter what the processor is, as long as it's just running Windows, or probably Mac OS for that matter. CPU irrelevant. It just runs on a computer. Weird sounds, says Eden. Okay, weird sounds. Right. Look at Ned Rush's sample packs. Yeah, but what are they? That's it. I'm having another beer. Oh, yeah, sample packs are great, people say. Yeah, well, they're great. Yeah, look at these sample packs. Yeah, but what are they of? What is it? Weird noises. Is that what you mean? Weird noises. Make some weird noises and sample those. All right. Okay. So are you saying... So you're essentially saying that I make a weird noise that I can sample. Alright. In isolation. So it's like those BBC record sound effects. That's the sort of thing you're after. You're after the desert zap and the UFO taking off. That kind of thing. Is that what you mean? Wow, I mean... Maybe, what time is it? Oh my god, I have already done an hour. Good, because I'm knackered. So maybe if I do a patch, and then you can all sample it. Then you can send me the results, and I can put it into a sample pack and sell it back to you for 20 quid. Right? That seems like genius to me. Total genius. So, alright, so tell me what it is that you want. What sound do you want to hear? And I will attempt to replicate it live on the modular. And I don't have rings or clouds. What would you like to start with? One, two, three, go. Let's sample the Pico drums. Record the removing of a millions of patches. Well, I did that already. I don't know how to make a fart other than by accident. Yeah, no, velocity is very interesting. Like I say, it's something which is not commonly found, but it is something that you can create. It's just the tying together of the triggering of a note and then the, you know, the gating of that at the same time, and enveloping of that. I mean, I guess you're talking about an envelope ultimately. Is that the same as velocity? Not really. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Regretful hamster. Oh, okay. WD Performance Mixer. Interesting. Underwater whale and dolphin sounds. Okay. What concerns you about the Behringers? They don't have nuts on the jack connectors. Really? Why would that... Oh, so they're not being held to the front panel. Interesting. Just washers. But washers would fall off when you turn it upside down. I don't quite understand. Okay. Asus ZenBook Duo versus a Microsoft Pro CPU efficiency. What about it? I don't own a ZBook Duo, so I can't do any comparisons, I'm afraid. I can only do what I have. You're very welcome to send me computers and I will do comparisons. An emulation of... Oh, good grief. Oh, Megan, you're back. Sorry, I only put you on a timeout because I was trying to be nice, you know. I'm going to have to hide you now. Washers. I don't understand. Washers maybe mean something else in your language. Create the sound of a brush stick. Do you want me to do something with noise? See, I'm not very good with that. That would kind of... That makes assumptions about things I can do. Oh, I've got lots of things plugged into the bottom of me. So, alright, here's a bit of noise. No, I'm going to need to do that more cleverly. So if I take output of some noise, put that into my veils, take the output of I'm going to take the output. Do I have a sawtooth? Yeah, I do. No, I don't, do I? That's not a sawtooth, that's something else now. Because I changed it. So, what else? I don't know. You know, I have very few LFOs when I think about it. Need more LFOs. I mean, I'm always using the Batumi for stuff, but I've only got square and sine on that. Otherwise, I use something else. Because I was going to do a... Well, I have to do it from here then. Do it from the maths. Stick that into there. Use some of my ridiculously long cables. Do a bit of that. Then I can... Maybe I'll take it from the ratchet, because that's always fun. I don't know if I saved that. Ooh, I've got an idea. Sorry, I forgot to start talking and thinking. So there you go, a brushed snare. No, of course I didn't press record. It's recording into this live stream though. It's only going to exist in this space. Potentially I could leave it all on and come back in the morning and record it. That's a possibility. Nice, I think I might have to look back through these comments at another time rather than bore you by sitting here looking at them. That was very interesting. I'm sorry that I stopped speaking. I don't know if that was helpful or not. Sometimes people like to hear about what it is exactly that I'm doing. I do appreciate that. But it just seemed to be, if I was talking about it the whole time, it felt it was all being a bit too deliberate. Does that make sense? Whereas I found that if I just shut up and just start exploring, that seemed to come easier. I felt less trapped. Does that make sense? But yeah, I very much enjoyed that. Because I mean, I had a plan in that I thought, right, brushed sound, so noise, I need noise. So noise, and then I need, what I was trying to do, I was trying to give it a sawtooth ramp. So it just sort of faded in and then faded in, which is what I sort of did with the maths. Once I'd worked out, oh yeah, that'll do that kind of thing. And then it was just playing with how do I get it to do that, but not just do it in a constant cycle, to actually have some gap in between it, you know. And that sort of went from there. And then I thought, well, it needs that little bit of bite at the beginning of it, so I put in an end of cycle bit, which of course then happened at the end, which wasn't really what I expected, but that's just kind of what happened, and I massaged it from there. Never quite got the surface doing what I was planning for it. Oh, because it's got the four heads of the magneto running on it. That's why I'm getting the repeats all the time. I still don't understand that box. If I stick it into pitch mode, it will probably sound a lot different. Yeah, maybe it was that I was after. Didn't find. You know what that sounds like? Sounds like modular stuff. Anyway, so alright, so that was fun. Thank you for that. I appreciate you encouraging me to do that. That was interesting. Not done it quite like that before. So let me catch up. Something from Thomas the Tank Engine. Are you sure? Archambolt, that's a funny name. Chelsea, yeah, can I give you the podcast a shout? Of course, the CV Freaks podcast, Eden Grace podcast is happening. Stick the details in. Stick the details. Stick your details down in the chat and I will read it out. So yeah, how is that going? Is it going well? I've dipped in on occasions, dipped out, dipped in, dipped out. It's great. It's so good that you're doing that. Well, it's all practice, you know. All of this is practice. So making an album, yeah, possibly. Um, I'm not in the headspace for it, to be honest. I could just record everything I do and release it, but that doesn't really work for me. It has to be something, or maybe it does. I don't know. I'm just not, as I say, I'm just not in the headspace for it. But I'm certainly aiming to get to that. At the moment, as far as I'm concerned, I'm practicing my instrument. I am working on it and trying to learn it in as much so that I can pull off something a bit like I just pulled off, you know, but better. And again, and then do it again. Yeah, that's the plan. Or not. Oh, I don't know. Maybe, as I say, maybe. See, the thing is, if I leave this on and come back tomorrow, I could probably make a half decent 10-minute video of this running, and that would be all right. I don't know whether I could feel that I could pull off something which felt releasable, but that's just my own self-doubt and mind doing stuff, because I know I listen to plenty of music which is not necessarily any better than what I can produce. That makes it sound like some kind of lowest common denominator thing, you know. Well, mine's as rubbish as everybody else's, therefore I should release it. Well, maybe one should, but I don't know. I find all of that difficult. I quite like putting up the odd video of a patch that I liked, because it feels that it feels like less exposure. You're not really putting yourself up. It's just a nice patch. People go, oh yeah, that sounded nice, or not, and that's enough. You're not putting it forward as this is an album of my music that I expect you to critique. Do you know what I mean? Interesting thoughts. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. Look more for the reset inputs of the sequencers to restart shorter timed melody sequences. Yeah, to trigger a sequence I think is quite interesting. It's something I've not really explored that much. I mean, I've got my whole M185 sitting over here in the Nifty case, so I'm not currently using that over here. And that's certainly something which you can do clever things with in terms of sequencing. Well, thanks. That's nice. Do it again. No. Again. Do more. No, I can't. I can't just now. I think I've worn myself out. But I did enjoy that a great deal. Let me just check on something. So yeah, quick shout out to Eden CV Freaks podcast. She's got a couple of episodes out there now. More to come. You'll find CV Freaks on Facebook, on Twitter, places like that. CV and then FREQS, CV Freaks. I can give you the Facebook page into the chat if I'm clever enough to work that out. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Yeah, maybe it did. No. Control paste. No, it didn't work. Never mind. I can't do it. I'm what I'm currently doing. But anyway, do go and check that out for interesting modular content. So yeah, go do that. I know I've lost all concept of what's going on now, but that doesn't matter. Great. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed that. Great. Maybe we'll do that more often. I feel emboldened by that. But I think I will bring this even to a close because, as I say, I'm quite dazed and confused. But I've got a week left with children at home, and my wife's back to school next week because she's a teacher and sorting all of that out. Only in as much to say as we're nearly to the point where I have a bit more time for work at the moment for the summer, certainly, and well, for most of lockdown for that matter. Everything's been squeezed at every end, I feel. So my video output has been relatively low. It's been difficult to get the time to spend on things properly. So things like the Descartes' Dream has dragged, and other things. So I'm hoping that time is going to start opening up again in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be able to do a lot more video content for you good people. That's what I'm hoping. So still on my roster of things to come, I've got the POM 400, which is just there, working on that this week every moment I get, and should have that done by the end of the week. That would be great to get that under my belt. Then I'm going to have a week on DIY at the very least, if not 2 weeks on DIY, to do the Perkle. Oh, I'll show you a couple of bits. To do the Perkle, to do some Descartes' Dream, to get the voice cards done on that. That would be really great. I've got sent a couple of kits from Synthcube. I think it is. Yes, it is. Of course it is. Synthcube got in touch and said, "Will I do a video if they sent me a kit?" And I said, "Yeah." So they sent me a couple of kits. The first one is a triple Vactrol resonator, Phonitronic. Not come across that before. It looks a bit like that. I have no clue what that does, so that's quite exciting. I have no idea. Resonators, triple Vactrol resonators. Looks like an LFO. Didn't I just mention how I need some LFOs? Anyway, well, that's quite funky, so that's in there. Oh, these are quite intense as it goes. Nice. So yeah, that'll be good. And if I guess if those go well, and maybe they'll send me some more. I'd quite like to build a 2600 from them at some point. Nice, nice. And the other thing they sent me was the Frequency Central. I don't know, a product. Frequency Central product. Oh wow! So this is this fella here. This is a chunky one, and this is. It looks like a whole voice. You've got a VCO, VCF, and envelope VCA. On there, nice. It's made in Coventry. So what's funny about this? Is it funny? It's made in Coventry, sent to America, sent back to the UK. So there's a couple of interesting things to build. So the plan is to get a bit of that done, have a good session on some DIY, get the Perkle done, get maybe something like that done, get some movement into the Descartes' Dream. My plan on that, I think, is to tackle the surface mounts. I've got 8 cards worth of surface mount. I'm just going to do all that in one hit. And then come back to do the through hole. And then I've got the weirdness of the assembly, which I don't quite know how to put it all together. So that's going to be interesting. But once I've done that, and I've got that working, and that's a fabulous thing, I can then enjoy that, and I can start working on the Look Mum No Computer synth, which I'm quite excited about. As well, building like a larger format performance synth. That's quite great. Quite getting into that. And I'd very much like to get into that sooner rather than later. But other things to finish. So there we go. Yeah, no, I totally am your protege. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, it's your fault. This is all your fault. Without a doubt. Yeah. If you hadn't bothered to spend the time when I was wandering around wide-eyed and boggled at Synthfest, then yeah, no, I'm deeply affected. Coventry, Cleveland. No, it's Coventry in the UK. Like Coventry. I'm going to need another case. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, Ken, I didn't tell you about my... All right, so I finish, as I'm fairly drunk, I finish with my lightsaber story, right? So, don't ever buy a lightsaber from saberzonecosplay.com. That's who they are. In fact, I could probably... I don't know, can I do that? No, I don't know if I can... Oh, can I be asked? Some things are just not worth the bother. Saberzone Cosplay. So I don't know why I'm giving you this. There we go. So don't ever buy a lightsaber from these bastards, right? I tweeted out today. So they got back in touch today with me saying, "Oh, you know, I've decided to take on your case personally, and just asking for a little bit more time, and I'm sure we'll get you sorted out." I bought 2 lightsabers from them in April. April, right? Lightsabers, they do decent lightsabers because they buy them from China, and China does a whole load of decent lightsabers. They're all the same or similar on a theme, and there's lots of websites in the UK and other places as well that import them or source them and sell them to you for a vastly inflated price. Now, I'm not fussed by the inflated price because I figure if someone has taken the trouble to source these things, get them for me, and then support me in its use, then that's worth a bit extra. You know, it saves me a lot of trouble of going to China myself or trying to sort that out, dealing with buying from a foreign country, etc., etc. So, you know, I'm all right with paying a bit extra for something to be done a bit more locally on that. So I bought these 2 lightsabers in April, as I say, for my kids, my 2 sons, because they were being so awesome, and it was the pandemic and everything else, and I thought it'd be a massive, awesome thing for them to have, because they've always been jealous of my lightsabers, because I've got some proper expensive ones that you're not actually supposed to hit. Whereas I wanted to get a pair of lightsabers that they could fight with, that aren't just the plastic extendable ones that you get for a £5 in Lidl's. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this. That'll be awesome. It took 2 weeks. I said, all right, fair enough. It's got to come from China. Yeah, it took 2 weeks, and they arrived. And one of them was brilliant. The other one was the wrong colour, sadly, and it was broken. So it didn't charge properly. You could kind of fudge it and sort of get it to charge. And I'm sure if I took it apart and resoldered it, I could get it to work. But that just didn't seem to be the point because it was the wrong colour. Colour hilt. You could order different coloured hilts. So from then until I got the money back about a week ago. So that's April until now. That's 4 months, is it? 4 months. So first of all, I'd contact them. You know, the day that we got them, we tried them out. I contacted them to say, look, it's broken and it's the wrong colour. And it took about a week for them to get back to me to say, oh dear, I'm really sorry. Really? That's really odd. And then I'd go, yeah, it is. So can I send it back? And then it'd be another week before they go, oh, well, what's wrong exactly? And then another week. And they'd say, oh, can you send us a video of it going wrong? It's like, yeah, but why? Because it's the wrong colour. So you need to just replace it. So I made a video, sent that to them. Another week goes by. Oh, really? Well, okay. Maybe you better send it back to us then. So I say, what address? Because there's no address on their website. Another week goes by. I send it to this address. I do that the next day. It gets signed for. I don't hear from them for 2 months. I am emailing them. Conversations on email and on Facebook, just trying to say, look, I've sent it back. Can you just replace it? And every now and again, every couple of weeks, I get a message saying, oh, yeah, we're just trying to work it out. Apparently the courier's lost it, or it's got lost here, got lost there. Eventually, I had to raise a complaint with PayPal, who also tried to contact them and didn't get any response. I tried putting things on their website comments and Facebook comments, and telling people stay away because they're just a waste of space. And they would respond to that and go, "Oh, really terribly sorry it's taken so long. Oh dear, oh we're really sorry, really really sorry. Let us sort this out." And they never ever have. It's laughably ridiculous. The product was faulty and wrong. It should have taken 2 weeks for them to get another one, even if they had to send another one from China to replace it. It should have taken 4 weeks maximum. It's taken 4 months. And I got a message today, as I say, saying, "Oh, we're just going to see if we can sort this out. I've already reclaimed the money via PayPal." So, yeah. So it's not that the product is a problem. It's not. It's all right. The product's all right. I then bought, a couple of months ago, I bought another lightsaber myself from AliExpress because I assumed that this was going to go completely wrong, as it did. And it's good. It's exactly the same. It's half the price and works completely fine. So sorted. So I have absolutely no objection to a company buying something from China and selling it to me. That's fine. But just back it up. Back it up. And replace things that are faulty. That's what you're in business for. That's the risk one takes in going into business, is that you might have to repair or replace or pay for something which isn't quite working right. That's how you're allowed to make money, because you use some of that profit to help things that go wrong. That's all you're after. So yeah, please don't buy a lightsaber from these people. That's all I've got to say on that. Too much anyway. I was going to make a big video on it and stuff, but I just can't be asked. Why should I bother to waste all my time on that? But be warned. Be careful with these sorts of things, because they just want to take orders and they don't want to deal with issues, which is common. But there we go. So too much now. That's enough, I think. Sorry about boring you with that. Vader's Vault. Yeah. No, there's good stuff out there. I mean, these were £100 lightsabers. They weren't the big posh ones. And as I say, you can get them from AliExpress, which is a sort of a Chinese Amazon. You can get them from there for $50. Same deal, and they're good and it works. And as far as my experience of AliExpress is that it's fine. It takes a couple of weeks. It's fully supported. It's no trouble, and just go direct unless you want someone special to do something particularly special. But I mean, the other factor is just all the lies on the website about they're handmade and highest quality, this, that, unique, specially designed. It's just all nonsense. You can just buy them from China. I could just clip what I said. Yeah, I just can't be asked. I'd just rather get past it. Ken, no worries, mate. No worries. So yeah, that'll do. So thank you for joining me this evening. It's been interesting. I made a patch about something that I hadn't expected to. It's very modular-like. As opposed to trying to write a pop song type thing. It's interesting the way it developed. Quite fascinating. So thank you for that. As I say, I'll go through the comments later, and I really do appreciate the support. That's awesome. So thanks for staying with me and staying up. As I say, lots of other stuff coming up this month. Looking forward to doing. I have a little surprise. I have, every now and again I get something secret, and I have something secret over there, which is exciting. The only clue I'll give you is that I also received a bobble hat. So if you're following my feeds, that'll give you a tiny clue. It's not as exciting as you might think, but it's it's something. It's nice every now and again to get something secret. So I'm going to try and keep that under my hat for another week. So maybe look out for that at the end of next week. And that's it. That'll do us. So do all the scribing and stuff. Thanks for the 2 HP, John. I'll be in touch, and we'll get that sent out to you. That was cool. Maybe we'll do another one of those at some point. That was good. I really like the fact that it was drawn out of the hat from only 30 people who commented on the thing. That's great. That's so much more interesting than trying to do some kind of Twitter share or Facebook share or anything like that. We get hundreds of applicants and they're mostly bots, and a whole big thing's a waste of time. It feels like it's actually going to go to somebody who would appreciate it and use it, and it's a two-way street kind of thing. That feels great. I like that. So great. There's a CV Freaks Discord as well. God, I haven't got into Discord. That scares the bejesus out of me. I'm on a few Discords of other people. It's like Bo Beats' one. There's like 1,000 categories. I have no idea how he navigates any of that or who's talking on it. So that's fascinating. So if you're understanding and wrangling with Discord, then great, go and do that. I should probably do it. I don't know. I'm happy doing this. So thanks everyone. Thanks for turning up. That's great. I'll play you out with another minute of this. It doesn't sound as good anymore.